is the Quran has a unique special feature of its divine authenticity in which God made it easy to remember so that it can be preserved also from generation to generation. How is it subjective? When you say subjective, if it wasn't objective, then you would say only some people can memorize it.
So you think every person who's tried to memorize it has memorized it? And can just read it
think
off?
of a number.
Or do you think somebody has tried and gone, I can't do this?
Let me ask you to reflect. How many people do you think right now have memorized the Quran on planet Earth? Give me a rough estimate.
I don't know. Give me how many Muslims in the world?
1/4 of the world population or more.
I'd probably say, I guess, a quarter of them, maybe 10% of them.
So 10% of them, that's a large number who memorized it. So isn't that showing something that's actually easy to remember? Otherwise you'd find maybe 100, 200, 1,000.
If it was that easy, why does the other 90% not? If it was easy.
Maybe the other 90% are not making that effort.
Maybe. But we don't know. They could be making the effort.
Well, we know they're not making that effort.
No, we don't know that.
We do. Okay, fine.
Maybe.
You know, in London, there are several mosques around.
Yeah.
And we can go to a mosque in Maghrib time or Isha time. These are sunset, after sunset, or just a little bit later in the early morning, early part of the night. The Quran is recited aloud, you'll find people listening to it. You can ask a certain number of people in the congregation, have you memorized the Quran? They say all of it. If they say no, ask them why not. You'll get your answer straight away. So it's not that okay, like, I tried and tried for 30 years.
Do you know of many people who've tried and failed?
Who tried and failed?
Okay. Can you
personally know?
Can you observe first how did they try? Okay, I
don't know how you taught it.
Okay.
So
I can open a book, right? Read the book once, then I say I tried to memorize the book but I couldn't. Is this really trying? Right?
Alright, so do you know any people who've gone through the correct procedures, read it, however many times you have to,
I want to make a few points.
And it will not stick in their head?
Sure. I want to make a few points. First point is, every Muslim must memorize a part of the Quran. Like for example, chapter 1, other verses to recite when they pray. Right? So every Muslim memorizes a part of the Quran. That is a fact, right? They cannot pray otherwise. Or except if they're new Muslim. Except if they're a new Muslim, right? Then they start to memorize, right? So take the time to memorize. But every Muslim, in order for you to pray, you must memorize a part of the Quran. So what is unique about the Quran? Not just the fact that they memorize. What you're thinking about in your mind, that you're reading a book in your language. I'm telling you, pick a book in a language that you don't understand. Right? So when you don't understand something and you're saying, it's easy to memorize something that you understand. Because right, you understand what you're saying. But if you don't understand what you're saying, it's much harder, right? So I'm giving you an example of a book in one of the hardest languages of the world, right? Which is Arabic, in the Asian form of it, and it's being memorized. I'm not just giving you any language that is your language, that is easy, that... You understand what I'm trying to say? That's what makes it miraculous in a sense, right? So there is a claim in the Quran. What I'm trying to say is that there is a claim in the Quran, right? That the book is easy to memorize. This claim is proven in the physical reality. We can see this claim in the physical reality. And that gives us credibility for the Quran, right? Because it's not just a claim here or there. When he makes a claim, you see it. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, go.
When he makes a claim, we see it on the physical reality, right? So that gives it credibility.
I'm not sure if I would agree with that, because if we go by, say, I don't know, say if we go by that 10% that I said, I don't know if that's true or not. If it was easy, which means easy, it's not, oh, you can do it if you really try, it's easy. Why are the other 90% or even, alright, some people won't try, I'll give you that, some people probably don't care about it as much. Why is there not a bigger number then? Why does not, say, 8 out of every 10 Muslims know it off my head? It's easy.
Is 10% a small number?
Out of 100.
Especially if you look at the population of Muslims.
No, the 10% was out of the population of Muslims.
Sorry?
So that 10% is 10% of the population of Muslims.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you,
say that
is that a small number?
Yes.
Millions is a small number.
In terms of the entire population, yes, 10% of 100% is
Okay.
a small number.
The rest of the people, right? What we know as Muslims, the Quran is not obligatory to memorize, right? So they might not memorize because they don't want to memorize. The person who wants to memorize is the person who wants, he believes this is the words of Allah, yeah? So he holds this in high esteem. So he wants to memorize it because of that, right? So the fact that many people are not memorized because it's not obligatory for you to memorize anyways in the first place.
But what I'm saying, if it's easy,
So-
if it's easy,
Even if it's easy.
no, if it's easy, why is it not 9 out of 10 Muslims? No, if it's easy to memorize.
99% of Muslims will memorize it if it's obligatory to do so. If it's not obligatory to do so, the question should be, why would they memorize it? Not why wouldn't they memorize it? The default position is that you don't memorize. So you need a reason to memorize. So you got it mixed the other way, right? So if I want to memorize something, I must have a reason to memorize it. So as long as it is not obligatory in Islam to memorize the Quran, the people who do it, they do it out of voluntarily act because they hold it in high esteem more than the other people, right? That's why we have this population of 10% of Muslims memorizing. But this 10%, different ages, different languages, different places, proves that there is something about the Quran. It's not just an ordinary book that you memorize, right?
What other special features of the Quran that you would like to share? So one, this is
Yeah,
memorization.
maybe move on to something else next.
Yeah, definitely. What we would like to come to is the existence of God, right? Because you said that you're agnostic, right? This is how you.
Try to tell you a question I do have about, not particular to your religion, just the idea of a creator.
Sure.
Is this creator has created absolutely everything. Small atoms, furthest galaxies, all the rest of it, everything inside it. I don't know, I can't make the leap of why he cares about very minor details in religion, say circumcision, the way you pray, the amount of times you do it a day. I just think these would be very, very minuscule things to such a grand creator of everything. These very, very small details could I don't know what it's like in your religion, could decide if you burn in hell forever or go to heaven.
Good question.
I'm not saying murder, like doesn't care if you murder. I'm saying if you pray 4 times instead of 5, or you pray at the wrong time, or you're not circumcised. But I don't understand why something that grand would care about such a small issue.
So there's 2 reasons, right? First reason is this, so I want to ask you. If there is a person who is a manufacturer, right, or a creator of something, right, and he creates something, right, that you don't know how that something works. So he writes a manual where he gives you every specific detail of how that thing functions, right? And we have another manufacturer who made something and he just told you one or 2 things about that thing that he made. Which one is a better manufacturer or creator?
But no, I don't mean how to live your life.
I never spoken about how. I'm just giving a hypothetical example right now, right? Two people who made something, you don't know how to operate that something, but one told you every specific detail of how you operate it, and another person who told you 1 or 2 things and he left you to deal with. Which one is a better? It's a simple question.
Yeah, but it's the wrong.
Which one?
It's the wrong. I don't know if I've asked the question wrong, but it's not the point. It's not. He's telling.
I'll tell you how it
works.
links to the point if you answer the question.
Well, obviously, if he gives more detail of how something works, that's better. But he's not. I'm not. The question I'm asking is not what he's telling us how the world works. What I'm saying is, why does he care? For example,
Good. If you allow me to finish, you'll understand. You'll understand that I was not talking about the world, right? I was talking about the functions of human beings. I was talking about what is good, what is bad for human beings. Human beings by nature, they require guidance. That's why we have laws. That's why we have our parents teaching us things when we're young. We require guidance, right? God giving us specific guidance proves how great He is, not the opposite, right? So Allah giving us details of what is good to us, what is bad for us. Circumcision is good for you, that's why Allah made it. Told you to do it, right? Drinking alcohol is bad for you, that's why Allah forbade you from doing it. Eating pork is bad for you. Sorry?
a lot of things are bad for people.
Show me one thing which is bad, right? That Islam tells you to do.
It tells you can do.
Yeah.
Not can do.
It tell you to do. It orders you to do.
What orders you to do or allows you to do?
You can do anything bad out of your own will, right? I'm asking you, in the system, Islamic system, what does the Islamic system order you to do which is bad for you?
I don't know. I don't know the.
So here, if you don't know, obviously we don't find anything, right? If we don't find anything that proves the Islamic system, to an extent, until you research and find something, the Islamic system is perfect. It's perfect. It doesn't have anything bad, right? So if Islam tells you things which are good for you, why is the problem in that? That makes Allah a greater creator, right? It makes him the greatest, as we call him, right? Because he gave you every specific detail. If he did not give you every specific detail, and you started to do something which is harming yourself, right? That proved the manufacturer left you without guidance.
What? I don't know what I just think on this point. What is it about circumcision that's worse, bad for you if you don't have it, or good for you if you do have it?
Sure.
Because he created us with one.
Sorry?
He designed us with a foreskin and then demands us to cut it off. That's what I don't understand.
Sure.
Like little things like that. Sure. Not what's good or bad for our health. Okay. Don't overeat. Don't take drugs. I get those things. But little details like I'm designing you with something, then you immediately have to cut it off, and if you don't, I'm going to be very mad at you. Like you know.
Nothing in Islam says that, though. Nothing in Islam says if you don't, I'll be very mad at you. In fact, in the schools of thought, there's difference of opinion whether it's obligatory or not, right? So this is what you should look at too, right? Is it obligatory? Is it not obligatory in Islam to begin with, right? But the main reason is what? Look, if the Qur'an is truly coming from Allah, right? It's coming from God. It's coming from the Creator. The Creator, by definition, knows its creation. Do we agree? Whatever Creator created something knows its creation, right? So when the Creator, the one that has infinite wisdom and infinite knowledge, do you have infinite wisdom and infinite knowledge, right? We don't have infinite wisdom and infinite knowledge. So when Allah tells us something, we do it because we know it's good for us, because it's coming from the one who has infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge. The reason that we do it is many reasons. One of them is worship. Following the command of the Creator is worship to the Creator, right? The second one is because it's good for you. Definitely good for you, because it's coming from the All-Wise, right? So you're worshiping Him, you're being obedient, and you're surrendering yourself when you follow the commandments of the Creator, right? So God is giving you commandments to do. If Allah made everything simple for you, you don't have to do anything. What's the point of creating you in the first place? There will be things that you have to do, right? As a form of obedience, as a form of connecting with the Creator, as a form of being spiritually fulfilled, right? So is that the problem? The problem with the Creator?
My problem with the idea of the Creator and those small rules that he's put in is if
Can I just add something to it? You were basically saying, why would small, very minor issues would lead people to eternal damnation and suffering in hellfire? But that's not what we say, that we will be in everlasting hellfire. If there are people who are violating certain commands of God, you need to understand what commands this came under in which category. Whether totally absolutely forbidden, whether we're simply saying, okay, you shouldn't do it as a dislike. The levels of categories of absolutely mandatory to absolutely forbidden, and in between there are dislike, and recommended, and permissible. There are 5 categories. The legislation from God comes in the 5 categories. One end is absolutely obligatory for everyone to do, mandatory. The other extreme is totally forbidden. You have to abstain from doing that. In the middle is, which is called permissible. It doesn't matter whether you do or not do it. And in between there's one which is recommended, and other is which is disliked. So if it's something like, for example, someone couldn't do circumcision for medical reasons, or he's scared or whatever, it's not going to put you in hellfire for eternity. What puts people in hellfire for eternity are the major crimes that God has told us about. Associating partner with God. If you did not repent from it and ask forgiveness from it, and you died in that state, this is a sin that God doesn't forgive. But other crimes against God, He says He will forgive. If you repent from it, He will forgive you. So it is not that these major things like, instead of praying 5 times a day, you prayed 4, as you said, and that will lead you into hellfire for eternity. No, it may be that you were physically unable to, you were mentally unable to. God is merciful. He doesn't burden us something that we cannot bear. So if something someone is not able to pray 5 times because there is a genuine reason they're unable to, then God is merciful and God is kind and God is just. But if somebody does that routinely, then he's committing a sin. But it doesn't mean this sin will make them into hellfire for eternity. No, we are told in Islam that because of their belief in Allah is the only one worthy of worship, alone worthy of worship, and they worship and submitted and surrendered their will to Allah and followed the Prophet, eventually, after all this time of punishment, depending on how long they need to be purified for that sin they have done, they will finally return at one point to paradise in Jannah to live eternally. Think about it. If you have an eternal life in paradise and you get punished for one year, 1,000 years, 1 billion years, 1 billion years compared to eternity is nothing. So I'm not saying you'll be punished 1 billion years. I'm saying eventually, after you're cleansing from your things that you did, God will cleanse you with punishment. He will purify you because God is just. Okay, if He decides to forgive, that's up to Him. But if He does punish you, eventually, because you said La ilaha illallah, you will return. This is the key to paradise. You will return to paradise. This is God's promise. So these minor things that you're saying, we don't believe that leads people to eternal hellfire. That's not the category of... Yeah, because God has given you a system in which He asks you to do something and to abstain from doing something. Were you really a person that really believed and abided by it? Did you really obey? If you work for a company and the company says, you know what, I want you to do this transaction, and you just sit there and you make your own money and you don't do any work. At the end of the day, do you expect your company to keep you in your job and also give you salaries?
If they demanded I walk a certain way and then I didn't do it, I had to walk a certain way and I took 1 foot out of line, just purely because they told me to.
Not like that.
Right? If I got sacked, then I would say that's unjust.
No, if it's like
not
this.
Like, not
let me give you an example.
Stealing from the company.
Let me give you an example. Okay, now there are several deals to make. Okay, one deal will make profit, 500% profit. Another deal will make you loss, and you keep taking the wrong deal, making the company lose. Right? You do that consistently. Do you expect your employer to keep you on your job and to give you a bonus and pay your salary?
No.
But you don't expect that, do you? You don't.
No, I don't think.
You don't expect any employer to do that. In fact, that would be a very unjust employer, very unwise employer. So the Creator also gave us legislation, and He wants us to do and avoid the don'ts as best as we can. Now, if you keep on doing what you're supposed to avoid it, and you willingly persist on doing that, why are you expecting that the Creator is going to say, I'm not going to punish you for that. I'm not going to somehow make you accountable for it.
So, do you think about, sorry to interrupt, think about like this, because you're thinking about it in a different way.
Think about hitting someone, maiming someone, breaking their legs, making them disabled, and you did it consistently. And you expect the society to say, that's all right, we're not going to punish you. It's all right, carry on doing that.
No, I don't think that's the same as demanding, maybe not demanding.
Think about it. Killing and breaking the legs is a huge difference. Killing is a grave crime. Breaking the legs is not as killing. So you keep on breaking someone's legs and arms and tooth and the nose and ears and eyes, but you don't kill them. And you don't expect the society, the societal order to somehow, we're talking about the judges, the crime and criminal system, and they would say, it's all right, what's your name?
Joe.
Joe, Joe, it's all right. It's okay, we're not going to punish you for that. It's all right, it's just a minor crime. It's a trivial thing. You don't expect that to happen. Why you'd say, even this thing is important.
But my argument was getting at, say go back to the company and the boss. If your boss said to you, just purely because he told you to, because he pays your wages, you have to look out that window 5 times a day, right? And if you don't, then I'll sack you. Is that just? Okay. Just, it doesn't...
What's the question, sorry?
He's saying...
If your employer tells you to look at the window 5 times a day, if that it was your job that you actually were...
No, it wasn't. It was purely because you paid my wages and you told me
if that was part of your job description, that you will have to look 5 times in the window, then they have the absolute right to reprimand you or, you know, not pay you and so on and punish you, because that was your job you're supposed to do.
If in the beginning of the job, right, you made a contract with your employer, yeah? And in that contract, you agreed that everything the employer orders you to do, right, which is job specific, in the field of the job, in the hour times, you will do. Then it's just. Because you made a contract with your employer that you will abide by the commands of your employer. If you didn't make a contract with your employer, that's a different story. If you made a contract with your employer, yes, you have to abide by it, and it's just, right? Because you're getting paid for these hours. You're following because you're getting something in return, right? You're not just following for the sake of following, are you? Or you will just walk away and leave your employer, right? So you are hired to do something. He is your employer. You get paid for your working hours. He told you to do something, and you agreed that you will do whatever he orders you to do. Yes, it's just.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's just justification.
Okay. Do you think that people should not be punished at all? Is this your point of view? Is this your worldview?
I think he gets to the point. That's fine.
I think my point is, why does... Because I'm thinking... Like I said, I personally don't believe in God, but I see the like out big space and galaxies and all these kind of things, quantum mechanics, all this kind of stuff. He would have, if he was real, he would have created the designs and everything. I don't understand. The leap I can't make is why he cares in very trivial human matters. When all this, he's designed and made all this, he has this all going on. Sure. It seems great, far greater than
sure. Okay, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if God, let's say just God, right? If God cares, really deeply cares about what every simple person does on this planet, right? If I'm going to kill you and God kills, he said don't kill, right? Will he not stop me?
I don't know, you have to say that question again.
So I'm saying, if God really, as you say, so much cares about every little details of what humans do.
No, I understand why you tell us not to.
So I'm telling you the difference between the two words view. God told you what to do. He does not observe every second of what you do and stop you if you do something bad. Because this life is a test, right? This life that we live in the Muslim view, is a test, right? So obviously you will do bad things and you will do good things, right? So what God did is, that's all what he did. This is the good, this is the bad. Abide by the good, leave the bad. There will be accountability, the end of the test, there will be a test, right? When the test is done, you will have your results, right? This is good, this is bad. So it's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, when do you scratch your nose, when do you do this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stops you. If he cares, he will stop you, he can make you disappear, right? Yeah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, because he is the best manufacturer, he is the best creator, right? He is the creator of everything. He will not be a good creator if he didn't tell you what is good for you to do and what is not good for you to do. Yeah. You understand the difference between the two?
Yeah, I understand.
One of the points that you need to realize, in Islam, we consider God with one of the very important attributes of people, Rabb. Rabb is someone who creates, shapes, nourishes, looks after. It's like someone, if you are a Rabb, a lord of a house, you look after the house. You're the caretaker. You're responsible. You want to make sure things function well. You want to make sure that everything's all right. You provide the provisions that's necessary to maintain the order and the requirements there, right? God is not just a creator, an abstract entity, like a deism type, God. He's our caretaker. He's one who is our Lord, our Master, our Cherisher, one who creates and guides and nourishes and looks after and takes care of. That's who God is. It's not that he just created and left it like, who cares, whatever that. Many people believe in deist type of God, where they believe God created and is away from the creation. He doesn't care what about it. No. God, he maintains his creation. He looks after them because he is a kind and just creator. So if, for example, someone asks for like, oh, I need some help and so on, are you saying God shouldn't listen? God listens. Maybe the answer comes in different ways, but God will listen to people's prayers. Doesn't matter if you are the one in the part of a cosmos where, far away in a different galaxies, God will also be listening to you. Because this is point one. Point number two, he ennobled human beings out of every other creation. He made human beings a worthy, a very noble creation, a very specifically distinct creation, giving them certain faculties over others. As you know from the difference between humans and animals, there are certain things which are different between us, right? So he created us, given us certain roles and responsibilities, and also the interaction that he has with them. So you can't just say, God, why is God, listening to everything or making sure everything is... Do you know that we believe in 2 recorders, here and here, records all our actions, the good and the bad, so that in the day of judgment, not only your recording represented, what you've done, you will see it yourself. Just like now we can see, look at the recordings on a camera. You can see back what you've done as an evidence of what happened. Even your hands and your legs will testify. Your body part will testify. Yes, this man went there and he did this oppression, this evil and this wrong. Okay, so these things you might want. Okay, like no one knew. You know what? You saw this woman there on this alleyway, and you raped her. No one saw it. There was no camera, and you think you got away with it. No, it's recorded. You will see this recording. Your hands, your legs, your organs will testify that this is what you have done. This is to make sure justice is done, implemented, because justice is an important key aspect in our life and in the whole paradigm of this universe that God has created. God is just, and He wants justice to be done. So when we will going to be accountable for what we have done and so on and so forth, it's not just saying, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, no, I haven't done it. Who was there? No one saw it. There will be witnesses. There will be your eyes, your hands, your legs, your body will testify against you and what you've done. And the angels who are recording the good and the bad, they will say this is what you've done. So you will have no excuse in the day of judgment to get away with the evil that you have done. I'm not saying you personally, the evil people when they're doing the evil to get away with it. That is why these concepts will make us understand that it's very important to live a life in which we are constantly being watched and observed, so that you live a life of nobility. That even though you're something within yourself, greed maybe the part of power hungriness, or I want to overpower someone, I want to bully someone, I want to rape someone, I want to kill someone. This is your own greed and selfishness and your desires to overtake others unjustly. Maybe this understanding will stop you from doing that. And not only that, this is one thing in place. Physically itself, in Islamic society, there are laws in place to prevent and restrict and to deal with these people, what we call Sharia. Now you realize why Sharia is there. It's to protect the society, protect the individual. So if someone is going to kill someone, it's not like, oh, you're going to be in jail for 2 days and that's it. No, your life will be taken away. Or there are other options. If the victim's family wants to forgive you, it's up to them. But generally, your life will be taken away if you kill someone. You'll be thinking twice, oh, if I kill someone, my life will be killed, so I won't be able to enjoy what I want to do in the first place. So there are a lot of preventative deterrents in Islamic law to ensure the society functions and thrives in harmony. And that is why one thing I would like to advise you to study the early Islamic history, and you will see how were the society functioning. Even few decades ago, maybe 100 years ago, in Saudi Arabia, these are historical records. The time of prayer came. The people who are selling their merchandise, whether it's gold or fruit, doesn't matter. Prayer time came, they would just put a piece of cloth over their merchandise and they go to the mosque and pray. It wasn't CCTV camera then, or locksmith and locks and so on, just like that. How were they able to do this?
Yeah, well, I would argue that a lot of places through history have probably been the same.
I don't know.
It goes back to that old thing of
But I'm saying,
go back to the area where you could leave the doors unlocked at night, all that.
well, I'm saying this is the Islamic teaching enshrined in the society, made sure the society functioned like that. How many people were doing
capital punishment now?
How many people were committing crimes? Think about it. Ask this question, really. How many hands were chopped off? Because you know, say they say, oh, Islamic crime and punishment is so harsh, so barbaric. Ask yourself, in the time when it was implemented, how many people's hands were chopped off? Probably a handful. To use the pun, sorry, because that is how it was so effective in the system. There was no need even to, because Islam made sure that you don't even need to steal. It will be provided for you, your basic provisions of your life. You know, this is something that your neighbors, the society at large, the leader of the Muslims within the land must provide for you. So there is no need for you to steal when you have been given all this basic assistance. The one who steals is the one who something's wrong when there's something, and they need to be looked up, taken care of, because the society otherwise will be very insecure. So keep the security and the momentum in progression of the society in development, either in technology, in economics, whatever you call it. There has to be a robust system, and then Islam made sure that was in place. When Islam was detached from our Islamic lands, this is when Muslims became corrupt. They corrupted their rulers, and the rulers corrupted them, and that's why they became so backward. And that's why today, hearing about this, you will say, how can they implement a system like that? But at one point, they couldn't even find someone to give this charity called zakah, because everyone had the basic necessities. No one was like poor to have this means.